Do you wonder if you could use AI workflows or agents to automate your content creation? I recently spoke at the Digital Stage Summit on this very topic, and in this video, what I want to do is show you some of the automation flows and the techniques I use to run multiple YouTube channels. I'm Aigentive. Let's get into it. Have you wondered about the impact of AI in your content creation? Is it something that gives you a little bit of concern, makes you wonder whether you're going to be replaced as a content creator, or is it something that you consider will make you unstoppable if you know how to use it? It's predicted that in the next 5 years, 90% of content will be AI assisted. We've already got deepfake politicians, AI influencers, and OnlyFans. So what I want to do is go over the way I use AI automation within my multiple YouTube channels, and we'll do it through a progression of ideas that you can build upon in your own workflows. So put on your hero outfit, power up, and let's see what we can achieve.
Legends are forged in the fires of the YouTube battlefield. Only the strongest, the most persistent, the most clickbait-driven warriors will survive. In the kingdom of content, views are power, and the algorithm shows no mercy. Aigentive was once just a creator. But when the prophecy called for 555 videos in 55 weeks, across 5 channels, he answered. He has climbed the treacherous mountain of mastery, where many have fallen. He has battled burnout, braved the shadowban swamps, and faced the dreaded demonetization dungeon. He has studied the sacred texts, viral thumbnails, retention graphs, and every cat video in search of the ultimate truth. Is he a genius? A madman? A man haunted by the ghosts of unfinished edits? No one knows. But one thing is certain. He won't stop until he finds the answer or loses his mind trying. This is the ridiculous legend of Aigentive and the 555 Manifesto.
So the 555 Manifesto and the Mountain of Mastery is based on the last 2 years of my own journey as a content creator. Now, it started off with this idea that Mr. Beast talks about, that if you want to grow as a content creator, do 100 videos, and on every video, just learn something. Now, during that time, I've tried to learn everything there is to know about YouTube, what I call the Mountain of Mastery. And the way I've done that is look at various topics like titles and thumbnails, storytelling, the different ways we do videos. And I'll go and do a little bit of education on that topic. But like walking around the mountain or spiral learning, the idea is that every time I go around the mountain, I come back to the same topic with a little bit more knowledge and elevated view, if you like. Now, with a career in software development and a focus on my channels on AI sort of topics, I was also able to look at AI automation all the way through as a way of improving processes over time. Now, with the learning and the automation, I was also making a rookie mistake, and that was that I kept creating new YouTube channels for different ideas that I wanted to pursue. Now, the idea of the 555 Manifesto is not to have 5 channels, 555 videos in 55 weeks, but more to be a framework of understanding. And it all came about during a ChatGPT conversation that I had nearly 2 years ago, where I was just thinking through this idea of Mr. Beast's 100 video concept and how it could be applied across multiple channels. So let's get started by looking at what I do in my own YouTube channels and how I help others. And the first thing that I need to do is understand prompt engineering, and I educate people on this particular topic. After that, it's about designing workflows, and these are the workflows that I might have around a YouTube title, doing the hook for a video, or creating the B-roll that you're seeing in these sorts of videos. So with the workflows figured out, it's time to actually implement one of those workflows. And this is a sequence of steps. Usually it can be done in various formats, but with that information in place, we might be able to solve one particular issue, such as how do we do a great hook for a video. After that, we can then figure out, should we automate it? So with the automation, we might use programming, or we might use low code or no code platforms to solve this problem. But the last step in this is, once it's all automated, how do we make it simple for the user to use? So this is the human in the loop. It's little micro applications that fit over the top of the automation and allow a combination of human intelligence and artificial intelligence so that we get co-intelligence. Now, before we get into detail, I want to point out that this talk was just one of 30 at the Digital Stage Summit that was on last week. And there were 30 different sessions from people in all areas of expertise in YouTube and content creation. I also got the opportunity to be one of the panel experts on AI with these 5 other awesome individuals. So if you're looking for any of the sessions or the Q&A on content creation and AI, then check out the link in the description. So if you want to get good at bringing workflows and AI into your content creation, then the first thing you want to learn is how to talk to the computer. So in this session, what we'll do is we'll look at a little prompt engineering tutorial that I've put together specifically for content creation. So let's start off with this prompt about the day in the life story of a woman in her 30s living in New York with her cat. And the first thing to understand with prompt engineering is, do you know how to structure a prompt? So when we look at this, we've got this idea of a structure, and the structure is a sequence of events in this particular case. After that, we want to know who the hero is, or the protagonist. It's a woman in her 30s. With that in place, are there any other characters like the cat in this particular case? And where is it located? An urban setting in this particular example. Knowing that, do you want to put any limits on the story? In this case, it's 5 scenes. And because it is a story, I want to put some drama in somewhere. So the 3rd scene will be dramatic. Now that we've created our prompt, let's run it in ChatGPT. We'll get an output and we've got our storytelling complete. But if you're going to use this in a video or some other form of content creation, then you're probably going to want some images. And with that, we can start writing a prompt around the shot list. So building a shot list is about coming up with the visual design that would make sense for the story. Now we've already got the story, so the context is really easy. Just use the story that we've got and then put in a little bit of extra information around the structure of what we want to create. Maybe we'll put in some style ideas if we like. And from there, we'll end up with a set of scenes that are the same as the story, but done from a visual perspective. Now with the shot list in place, we can start generating image prompts for Leonardo AI or Design is what I did for the Hollywood trailer. Now the important things to get right is that we are feeding in the shot list as context. We're just saying that we want simplified image prompts. Now one of the things I would normally do is put in a little bit of information around the best practices of the particular image generator, because they are all a little bit different. After that, we just want to make sure that we got style and image consistency. Now, the reason the image consistency across different prompts is important is that once you start generating it, you want to make sure that you got the same cat and the same woman in every scene, because none of these prompts will have memory of previous prompts. So what we've got here is a set of image prompts that we can copy over to Leonardo, and we've always got the fluffy orange tabby cat in each scene. With that all done, we can generate the images. We can see that all 5 images match the scenes. We've got the dramatic scene number 3 where the cat is escaping in the park. And all of this was done using Leonardo AI. So we've created a story. We've got a storyboard, but maybe you want to reshape it for YouTube Shorts or some other sort of context. So I like to reframe prompts. And this prompt here is just taking the story we had, reframing it as Hamlet, Shakespeare. We're making sure we use the same story as above. And because it's a bit more of a complex prompt, I like to reinforce that the output that we're going to get matches what was said above. With that in place, we now get a new set of images following Shakespeare style. Now this looks okay, but because of the prompt we use, one of the issues that'll happen is that there'll be inconsistencies because we used a bit of a complex prompt. So when we look at the woman, she's got darker hair here. It's a bit silvery here, it's blonde there. So we got different inconsistencies going on. So in the next section, let's talk about instructional collapse and how we can solve this particular problem. So one of the ways of dealing with instructional collapse is to move into the area of workflows. So workflows is the idea that prompts can run in a particular chain, and you can have them for business processes, creative processes, or even your own personal processes. So I've been working with various SEO companies, for instance, and they'll have a lot of complex workflows that they want to get done, and we'll look at ways of turning them into individual workflows that could be automated or systematized with a human. Another way of looking at workflows is to think about things in the form of prompt packs. So if we look at the competitive analysis area of search engine optimization agencies, and maybe you would call it SWOT analysis, I've been having a conversation with a lady named Anna from Ramp, and she puts together prompt packs like this. And the great thing about them is that they work very similar to a GPT workflow. You've got the ability to have input parameters, and you just have these little prompt packs that you can just copy and paste into ChatGPT. Now, I'll leave a link to Anna's prompt packs down in the description, but from a YouTube automation perspective, I create my own workflows that are to deal with areas of content creation. A lot of stuff around planning for a live stream or creating a script for a video is done this way. I've also got the content repurposing, so any of my live streams can easily be turned into other long form videos or podcasts. And then when I want to work with, say, a sponsor, I might want to have different workflows that I use to communicate with them. So let's go into a little bit of detail into workflow optimization, and we'll go through a couple of examples. So the first one I want to do is look at the YouTube launch optimizer. So whenever I'm publishing a video, such as the one you're watching right now, there's 30 odd steps that I will go through after editing just to publish it. And one of them happens to be the YouTube title. So I'll head over to an area called the title generator, and I'll start putting in a little bit of information. So in the case of the 555 Manifesto, the theme is a spiral learning metaphor. It's about creating 555 videos in 55 weeks across 5 channels. Now we've got a prompt there, and we can run that through any large language model that we like. And as it goes, it will start producing a bunch of titles. Now you might be thinking the titles that it produces might not be to the level you want. So in my particular case, I will take some of that information and feed it into vidIQ. But the real benefit of working this way is that over time, I can improve any of the prompts and use other sorts of input things to automate this and have total control over the workflow. So let's look at another workflow, and this is the one I used for the 555 Manifesto YouTube trailer, and that's basically a storyboard builder, and there's different areas like primary character generator and scenes going on here. But let's go from the start. The first thing I would do is take a transcript, everything that was said in that particular video, and I would configure the system with that information plus information around style guidelines. From here, we want to go and generate a shot list. Now, the shot list is the visual guidelines for the story, and with each scene that we see, we want to go in deep and look at maybe the characters, the objects, and the backgrounds that are going on. So knowing the scene allows us to then work through the individual characters. So we could work with the primary character. There's the individual characters that might be part of the story all the way through, or they might be one-offs. They might be villains. After that, we've got the individual scenes need to be drawn. And with that, any objects that are not part of the scene background, but are actually used, such as the 555 Manifesto. Now, with all this in place, we then want to move into a little bit of refinement. So an example of me as 2 different characters, either with the black shirt, or we can do it with the silver shirt, which is what you saw in the Hollywood trailer. Now, if you're thinking all of this is maybe a little bit too complex, then let's talk about the next section. So we've just gone through different stages of a particular workflow, but one of the things that you can do with once you've got this stuff designed is you can export it. So you might want to use it with automation, with Microapps, or even with prompt packs that we saw earlier. Now, if we want to move into the area of agent automation, then we've got a few different techniques. We can use programming, no code, low code, or microapps. Now, the programming aspect gives you full control. There's anything that you want to do with the agents, you can do, but it does require you to understand programming languages, and one of these frameworks is usually a good place to get started. But generally, you only need to go down that path if you're building a complex application and you've got developer support. If you just want to automate agents, then you can go down the no code, low code session. So the great thing about this is it's easy to get started, but it can get complex. Now you can use products like NA10 or Make or even Zapier to get started in this particular area. If you're using something like NA10, then you've also got the benefit that you can use the programmatic processes as well. Now, if you want to simplify things from the agent workflows, then you look at little micro apps that can solve problems and allow you to easily have custom user interfaces for the human. So if you've used vidIQ, you've seen this. You've got this title generator, tells you a score. You can select the title that you want to work with, but behind the scenes, there's an agent workflow going on. Now, I myself use the agent workflow builder. This gives me the ability to work with any sort of workflow I like. We've got tools that you can use like RAG and fine tuning, but if you want to build your own user interface to solve these problems, and you can move over to the myriad of front-end builders. So a good pairing might be to use Bubble with N8N on the back end. At the moment, I'm looking at Aigentive because it can do what N8N does on the back end, but it also has a front-end builder that you can work with. So by combining these different tools like Replit to build a micro application with something like N8N to build a back-end agent architecture, you can both make it efficient and simple. So to wrap up with the 555 Manifesto and the Mountain of Mastery, what you're seeing is the 5 areas that I've been working on, which is prompt engineering leading into workflow design, workflows leading into prompt chains, and also parallel orchestrations. After that, we move into automation, and lastly, we simplify it with micro apps. Now, if you want to get more of an understanding or go deeper into any of these workflows, then check out the AI assessment down below. It's a little quiz that'll guide you through the different areas that you currently know and maybe the areas that you need to improve on. Anyway, I'm Appy Dave. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.